Last night's episode of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert erupted into absolute chaos when Sean Penn was forcibly removed from the studio after Stephen Colbert dismissed his decades of humanitarian work in Haiti as poverty tourism and accused him of exploiting disasters for relevance. The two-time Oscar winner didn't just defend his commitment. He delivered a scorching indictment of armchair activism that left Colbert exposed as a performative liberal who criticizes action while taking none. But what started as promotion for Penn's new documentary about Haiti's resilience would reveal something darker about how comfortable critics attack those who actually risk everything to help. The Ed Sullivan Theater atmosphere was charged from the moment Penn arrived. The 63-year-old actor-director was there to discuss his latest documentary, showcasing Haitian innovation and strength, deliberately avoiding the typical disaster narrative. But Colbert's writers had prepared an entirely different angle. A production assistant later revealed that Colbert had specifically instructed them to nail him on the white savior thing and expose the ego behind the charity. The warm-up comedian had been making jokes about actors who think they're humanitarian heroes and midlife crisis charity work. Several staffers expressed deep discomfort with the planned ambush, with one senior writer reportedly refusing to participate, saying, "Penn actually lives there half the year. This is different." Therefore, when the cameras rolled, Penn was walking into a calculated assault on work that had consumed 14 years of his life. The show opened with Colbert's standard monologue, including several pointed jokes about celebrities who discover poverty exists and Hollywood's disaster tourists that seemed like general commentary but were clearly aimed at Penn. The actor waited backstage, his intense energy palpable to everyone present, reviewing notes about Corps' latest clean water projects in Haiti. His team would later reveal they'd been assured the interview would focus on Haitian resilience and innovation, not relitigate old controversies. When Colbert finally announced, "Please welcome Sean Penn," he walked out with his characteristic intensity, his weathered face showing the effects of actual field work rather than studio lighting. "Sean, welcome to the show," Colbert began with his practiced smile. "So, still playing hero in Haiti?" The condescension was immediate. Penn's jaw tightened, but his voice remained controlled. "I'm not playing anything, Stephen. I live there 6 months a year. We're running sustainable programs led by Haitians," he said firmly. "Right, your charity work," Colbert said with obvious sarcasm. "How's it feel to be a white savior? How's it feel to be a white critic who does nothing?" Penn shot back immediately. The studio went silent. The tension was instant and electric. Colbert tried to maintain his composure. "I'm asking legitimate questions about the problems with Western charity," he said. "No, you're sitting in makeup and air conditioning questioning people who dig wells and build hospitals. There's a difference between analysis and action," Penn replied, his famous intensity building. "Some would say your action does more harm than good," Colbert suggested, playing to his audience's progressive sensibilities. Therefore, the attack on Penn's humanitarian work was immediate and calculated. Penn leaned forward, his eyes blazing with the controlled fury that made his performances legendary. "Some would say? Who? Name them. Name the Haitians who've told you our hospitals do harm. Name the communities that have rejected our clean water systems." "Go ahead, I'll wait," Penn challenged. Colbert couldn't. He shifted to generalizations about dependency and cultural imperialism. But Penn cut him off. "You're using academic theories to dismiss actual wells, actual medical care, actual schools. A child drinking clean water doesn't care about your post-colonial analysis," Penn said, his voice rising slightly. "But shouldn't we examine the power dynamics?" Colbert pressed. "Examine them from where? Your desk? Your townhouse? Your limo? You want to examine power dynamics? Come to Haiti. See the power dynamic between cholera and clean water, between infection and antibiotics, between ignorance and education," Penn responded. He stood up abruptly, his movement explosive. "You know what your problem is? You've intellectualized suffering to the point where helping seems problematic. You've made inaction seem sophisticated," he said. "Sit down, Sean. We're having a discussion," Colbert said, trying to assert control. "No, we're not. You're performing moral superiority while having never lifted a finger to help anyone directly. I've pulled bodies from rubble. What have you pulled besides ratings? Penn asked. The brutality of the comparison silenced everyone. Several audience members gasped. But Colbert made a critical error. At least I'm not exploiting tragedy for personal glory, he said. Penn's face went dark. Personal glory? I've had dengue fever 3 times. I've been shot at. I've lost 40 pounds from dysentery. That's glory to you, he said, his voice dangerous. You chose to put yourself in those situations, Colbert said defensively. And you choose to sit here mocking those who do. Which choice actually helps people? Penn asked. But then he revealed something that shifted everything. You want to know something your researchers missed? Every dollar I've made from acting in the last decade has gone to Haiti. Every penny. My homes, my investments, liquidated. But that doesn't fit your narrative of ego-driven charity, does it? He said. That seems excessive, Colbert said, clearly thrown. Excessive? There are people alive because of that excess. There are children in school because of that excess. There are communities with clean water because of that excess. But you're right. I should have been more moderate. Maybe done a benefit concert and called it good, Penn said with withering sarcasm. He turned to the audience. And this is where something important happens. Look, I know some of you are watching this and you want to help, but you're scared of being called a white savior or getting it wrong. Don't let people like him stop you. If you see suffering and want to help, help. Share this message. Comment your own experiences of being criticized for caring. Like this video to spread the word that action matters more than perfect politics. Your engagement here might encourage someone else to act. Don't let cynics who do nothing stop you from doing something, he said directly to the camera. The audience response was immediate and powerful. Many applauded. Others stood in support. But Colbert, desperate to regain control, made things worse. This is all very dramatic, but it doesn't address the fundamental issues of, he began. Shut up, Penn interrupted. Just shut up. You've never been to Haiti. You've never met the people we work with. You've never seen what we've built. You have no right to an opinion on this. Everyone has a right to an opinion, Colbert protested. Not all opinions are equal. My opinion is based on 14 years of living and working there. Yours is based on articles you skimmed before the show. See the difference? Penn said. He moved closer to Colbert's desk, his presence intimidating. You want to talk about exploitation? Let's talk about you making content out of criticizing people who actually help. That's exploitation. You're literally profiting from mocking humanitarian work, he said. I'm holding people accountable, Colbert claimed. For what? For caring? For acting? For not being paralyzed by your academic concerns? You're not holding anyone accountable. You're justifying your own inaction, Penn observed. Therefore, the psychological destruction was complete. But Penn had more ammunition. Your network aired a documentary about Haiti that never mentioned our work. 14 years, thousands of lives saved, hundreds of Haitians employed, and CBS edited us out. Why? Because it didn't fit the disaster porn narrative. And now you're questioning our motives? He said. I don't control CBS's documentaries, Colbert said weakly. But you control this show. And you chose to attack someone who's actually helping while you've done nothing. That's not journalism or comedy. That's cowardice, Penn replied. The word cowardice hung in the air. Colbert's face went red. How dare you, he started. How dare I? I've risked my life repeatedly to help people. You won't even risk your reputation to support people who help. Who's the coward? Penn asked. Colbert made his fatal mistake. Security, remove him now, he said angrily. The audience erupted in boos. Having Penn forcibly removed for defending humanitarian work was disastrous optics. But Penn laughed bitterly. Perfect. You're having me thrown out for talking about actually helping people. This is your progressivism? This is your compassion? He said as security approached. 2 guards moved toward him reluctantly. Penn raised his hands. I'll go. But everyone watching this should know that this man would rather silence discussion of real help than admit his own uselessness, he said. He looked directly at Colbert one last time. You know what? I feel sorry for you. You've confused cynicism with wisdom, criticism with contribution, talking with doing. You're going to die having helped no one directly, and deep down, you know it. he said. Get out, Colbert said, his voice shaking with anger. I'm going back to Haiti, where I'll continue actually helping while you continue actually talking. Guess which one matters more? Penn said. He walked toward the exit, then turned back. By the way, we're training 50 new Haitian doctors this year. You could help fund it, but you won't, because that would require actually doing something instead of just criticizing those who do, he said. He left to massive applause. The majority of the audience gave him a standing ovation. Many walked out in solidarity. The show went to immediate commercial. Within minutes, #Penn exposes Colbert was trending worldwide. The clip of Colbert calling security went viral instantly. Humanitarian workers globally shared their own experiences of being criticized by those who did nothing. But the real impact came from Haiti. Haitian officials and citizens released statements supporting Penn's work, with concrete examples of lives saved and communities transformed. The contrast with Colbert's empty criticism was stark. Colbert attempted to continue after commercial, but the audience was openly hostile. People shouted, "Coward," and "Do something" throughout. He ended the show after 5 minutes, visibly shaken and angry. The next day brought severe consequences. Humanitarian organizations condemned Colbert's behavior. CORE received millions in donations, all citing Penn's appearance. Major celebrities who actually did humanitarian work refused to appear on Colbert's show. Penn's response was characteristic. He released raw footage from Haiti showing the daily work, the Haitian leadership, the sustainable programs. No publicity angles, just work. The contrast with Colbert's theoretical criticisms was devastating. CBS faced immediate crisis. Sponsors supporting humanitarian causes withdrew. The network that claimed progressive values was exposed as attacking actual progressive action. Internal sources revealed panic at the highest levels. Meanwhile, Penn's documentary received massive support. Streaming platforms competed for rights. His humanitarian work became a rallying point for those tired of criticism without action. But the deeper conversation was about the paralysis of perfect politics. Penn had exposed how progressive rhetoric could become an excuse for inaction, how criticism of those who help could mask the guilt of those who don't. Colbert eventually returned after a 3-week suspension, but his show never recovered. His moral authority, built on critiquing others, collapsed when confronted by someone who actually lived his values. His audience, particularly those involved in humanitarian work, abandoned him permanently. The incident became known as the Penn Principle, the idea that those who act have more authority than those who merely analyze. Universities taught it as an example of how academic criticism could become moral cowardice. Years later, Colbert would admit in a written statement that the encounter had forced a reconsideration of my role. But he never apologized directly, and Penn never acknowledged the statement. That night, all anyone saw was Sean Penn refusing to let his life's work be diminished by someone who'd never helped anyone directly. Refusing to accept that action was problematic. Refusing to let comfortable criticism silence uncomfortable truth. He'd been kicked off the show, but he'd kicked down the entire facade of performative progressivism. The security guards who'd escorted him out later revealed they'd apologized backstage, with one saying, "We know you're the one actually helping." That raw truth became the lasting image. Sean Penn, removed for defending actual humanitarian work, walking away with purpose while Stephen Colbert sat behind his desk, exposed as someone who criticized action while taking none. The empty chair Penn left became a symbol of all those doing dangerous, difficult work while being judged by those doing nothing. All the helpers dismissed by critics. All the doers silenced by talkers. And Stephen Colbert became the embodiment of a particular kind of liberal hypocrisy, the kind that uses progressive language to mask fundamental inaction, that makes helping seem problematic rather than admitting its own uselessness. The difference was undeniable. Penn returned to Haiti to continue saving lives. Colbert remained behind his desk to continue making jokes. One had been forcibly removed from a television show. The other had been permanently removed from moral relevance. Everyone watching understood which removal actually mattered. The man who'd been kicked off had kicked down an entire worldview that confused criticism with contribution. And Colbert, still sitting behind his desk, was left with nothing but the echo of Penn's final words. Guess which one matters more? The answer was obvious to everyone but him.